Anthony, it's a dream come true for you, isn't it, today?
That I'm sitting next to you, 100%.
You got that right.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality.
So, Anthony Melchior, I got to tell you, I got to say, forget about talking about traditional hospitality industry news right now, because today is a dream come true for me because you get to be here in the heart of the World
You
Series
gave me
of
the
Poker.
gift of being at the World Series of Poker on the stage.
Yep.
We're going to speak to the director, and anyone that knows me knows in the last couple of years,
Yep.
my number one hobby has been poker. So
Right.
I went from really, really bad to really bad, but I'll eventually be bad, and that's my goal.
Are you
Just
be
to get
bad or Michael Jackson type bad?
But to be here is great, and I played in the first event when I got off the plane on Saturday night,
Yep.
and I almost got to the final table, but just the vibe here is just fantastic, and we'll talk a little bit about it with Ty, but just the mindset of a poker player. It's like a football player going to the World Series,
right?
I mean, to the Super Bowl. You don't go to the World Series in football.
But do you think I'd be any good at poker? Because I've been like bluffing my entire career so far.
I think you'd be a world champion. I think you would be a bracelet winner the first time.
I like that. I like that idea. All right, I think I'll just jump right into the $10,000 tournament. But before I go hit the poker tables, let's bring in today, because we got a great guest. Boom, Ty Stewart, the executive director here at the World Series of Poker and an SVP at Caesars Interactive Entertainment. Ty, it's so great to have you join us today, man.
Oh, it's great to be here. It's funny that you're talking about dreams. We internally say dreams are dealt at the World Series of Poker. So getting a dream for Anthony, fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, this is absolutely fantastic. So I think the best place to start this is, how happy are you that we are live again right here at the Rio? You get to do it in person, and I see 100 tables, 150 tables just in this room alone in front of us.
You see 150 in this room.
Woo!
You see almost 500 spread throughout the convention center.
Right.
We are back.
Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that. Nice move, Anthony.
It's exciting. It had been too long. It had been 26 months. So yeah, we were like little kids before Christmas, expecting all these poker players. And the first weekend, I'm sure we'll talk about, was fantastic. We had almost 13,000 in our first event called the Reunion.
Are you serious? 13,000?
Yeah, 13,000, and it was a reunion for poker.
Yeah, and the reunion, did it play off the 50th? You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, well, we had a big tournament called the Big 50,
the
Big
right.
50, which was in 2019, which was the biggest tournament ever in the history of poker. And so we did have the same price point, $500. And obviously that was quite popular, as you said, because 13,000 folks came out this first week.
Yeah, and I played in that. I didn't know that I was going to play in it. I only play poker when if I come in for work. So I was working the next day, and I played in it, and I did okay. But the first time I ever got off the plane and stepped into a World Series of Poker tournament, because I didn't know you had little tournaments before the big tournament, and I walked in and I came in second, and I played till 4 o'clock in the morning. I came in second. I won, I think, whatever I won, and I was like, oh, this is easy.
That's how they get you, though, every single time.
Come back here every year. Coming back.
But for people, the reason we're here at the World Series of Poker, we're in Las Vegas, we're at the Rio, where it is in a hotel. So it is in a hotel. This is part of, one of the things I love about hotels. We say, if you want to be a poker dealer, you want to be a dolphin trainer, you want to be a florist or a doctor or a marketing person, you can find a job in a hotel.
Right.
So,
like, literally, you can if you're a dolphin trainer.
Right. So you can be a dolphin trainer, poker player, like a producer, doctor, and it's just amazing that people don't understand that the World Series of Poker and the hotel and the hospitality is all one. It's all the same.
Yeah.
And so talk about.
Yeah, we're fully. I mean, again, I work for Caesars Entertainment and now have for nearly 17 years.
Yep.
And it's a fully owned event, vertically controlled by Caesars Entertainment. And
how long ago did they buy that? 10 years ago?
No, I bought it in 2000, in 2002,
Okay.
2003, right after Chris Moneymaker won the World Series of Poker.
Yep.
Our CEO at the time, Gary Loveman,
Yep.
he knew Rocket Ship, and he purchased it as part of the transaction to acquire Binion's Horseshoe downtown and the and the Binions intellectual property. And then we've been operating the World Series of Poker since then. Moved it over to the Rio, where we had these huge convention facilities to see all these tables that you're in, and rest is sort of history.
So, Ty, if you can, just tell us about your career, kind of how you got involved in this, and by doing that, I'm sure you'll also explain what the World Series of Poker is.
Sure. Well, I always wanted to be in sports marketing. I think we've always looked at the World Series of Poker as something as close to a sport as there is in gaming, as close to a sports league. So I was an executive of the National Football League, and the National Football League at the time was a little more conservative than they are today. You would have never thought about that marriage that's happening now, thankfully, wonderfully, between the gaming industry and the NFL. But I got recruited to come out and try to make a business around the World Series of Poker. And I think they thought that I knew, television was my same partners at ESPN. I knew, sponsorships, knew how to put on an event. And so, it's now my 17th World Series of Poker, which is crazy to me that I guess I've been present for a third or so of the history of the World Series of Poker. And we've done our best to develop this brand, around the world and make it bigger than ever.
Yeah, it's become something that's really, especially if you're a poker player. The World Series of Poker probably got me from being a casual player to being somebody that really takes it seriously and is trying to really learn the game from every level. So it's just amazing. And anybody that says that poker isn't a sport, sit at a table for 14 hours. Okay, if you're not in good shape, if you're not eating well, if you're not eating clean, if you're not drinking water, you will pass out. And it's like when people say, race car drivers aren't athletes. Yes, they are. Sit in the car and go around and over.
Lose like 20 pounds or something like that.
Go around
no poker players are losing weight. So, I know, trust me. Look at my belly. But certainly is a competition, right, at the highest order, and mentally, and I'm sure you have experienced it, there's nothing like if you put in a 12, 14-hour session, the way you feel the next morning. I mean, you are drained.
You're completely 100% drained. And I'm sure you understand this when I say you leave the table and you go, I am never doing that again.
Well,
by lunchtime, you're like, I can't wait to get back.
What I want to say is, I don't have a lot of poker experience, right? I mean, the only poker experience I had is telling my parents I was playing Dungeons and Dragons when I was 13, and then going and playing poker with some friends and stuff like that. But I got to think it's exhausting because you're using your mind the entire time. You have to really think, and you don't have any downtime because you have to process so much.
It's exhausting, but it's also really exciting. And I think that's why we see all kinds here at the World Series of Poker, whether they be actors or professional athletes or captains of industry. I mean, billionaires every year come to the World Series of Poker to compete on equal terms against, these hardened grinders and the best poker players in the world. It is the ultimate democratic event. It's completely open. We talk about it's anybody can enter and anybody can win, and that's what makes it absolutely awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing. You go through the room and you see people you see on TV. Where else in the world can you play in a sport and be right next to the best player of that sport in the world?
And
it's
kick
like
their butt.
It's like It's like playing. It's like playing. Football and Tom Brady's on your team, or you're playing against him. And the first time I sat next to a professional poker player, I won't tell you who it was, but I sat down next to him. I saw him on TV all the time, and I was playing horrifically. I was so scared to play my game, and he was beating me. And I realized he was just he realized where they say if you don't know who the fish at the table is, it's you.
You're the sucker or whatever.
Right. And he completely was just playing me. And then there was one hand I had to tell on him. And I was like, oh, that's a complete bluff. I went all in, and I had like maybe a 7 offsuit, but I knew it was better than his 7-3 offsuit.
Right.
And I went in and I beat him. And I was just like, that was probably the moment I fell in love with the game, where I was able to go against someone I see on TV and I admire. And I was able to get him off a hand or beat him on a hand.
What do I need to say in this interview? Andy Scott, you're exactly right. This is what makes the World Series of Poker fantastic. You're going to rub elbows with the legends of the game. And with a little bit of luck, with the right play, you can be great. You can be a legend if it's for a day. It's an experience unlike many other things in the world.
So what was it like putting together the event this year, getting back to it live and making sure you had all the protocols in place? Because what I found interesting is you need to have the vaccination in order to get into the tournament. something I like because it makes you feel more comfortable. But if you could go through the whole process of
Yeah.
the day you heard, yes, we're a go, we can go live again.
Well, we talked about us being analogous to a sport,
Right.
and all the sports these days have some sort of COVID protocols.
Yep.
But if you look at a poker table and you look at that, every single player at that table is going to qualify as a close contact with each other. And if for contact tracing, if you have non-vaccinated folks, it's an absolute nightmare. It could easily be that one person that happened to be infected and non-vaccinated could then say over the course of their day, because you move tables in tournament poker, you combine tables, you consolidate tables, you could affect 100 or so other persons, and then we would have to ask them to go home to quarantine before they could be tested, and we would have to disqualify them from the tournament. And so we didn't want to be in a position this year where we ever had to send away or trespass or disqualify a player or completely throw off the integrity of a poker event. And so it was both the best health and safety decision and the best operational decision for us to go vaccination requirements. So there are no COVID protocols amongst poker players. And, knock on wood to this point, certainly we've only been operational for, about a week, but we haven't had any incidents.
Good.
And we hope that that's the way that it is the rest of the fall.
And so people understand you have to be vaccinated and you don't have to wear a mask at the table. When you're walking around, you have to wear a mask, but at the table, you don't have to wear a mask. I'm vaccinated and I chose to wear a mask at the table. That's my comfort level. I would say if there's 10 people at the table, was there nine or 10?
It depends on the tournament, but 9 or 10. Yeah.
Right. So there's 9 or 10 people at the table. And I would tell you half the people at my table were wearing masks, half the people weren't wearing masks. And there was a few people saying, I didn't want to get vaccinated, but I really wanted to come play. So I got vaccinated and I come to play. So there must have been a little bit of pushback from some of the people that come every year that maybe didn't want to be vaccinated. What was that like?
Yeah. It's tough. It's hard.
Yeah.
Again, we talked about being sort of the ultimate open event, and we respect our players. Here, everyone posts their own money, so we're always on the side of individual choice. At the same time, again, it was something for us. So it was tough to see folks think that it was a political decision, or that
that is tough because that's not where your heart is.
Not where our hearts are at all. But I think that players have started to get it, and I think at the end of the day we'll end up saving some lives.
And I never thought about it when I was at the table. I never thought about COVID.
Yep.
I never thought about anything. I just thought about poker.
Right.
And if you didn't have to be vaccinated to be at the event, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have. I couldn't have played at the tournament because I want. If somebody's not wearing a mask, I want to make sure that they're vaccinated.
And let me just,
like I said, it was very comfortable.
Yeah, let me just point out that the state of Nevada, the regulations are indoor public places right now. Masks are required. So it's not Caesars Entertainment making that sort of a rule.
Right. And we are operating under Governor Sisolak's Emergency Directive 50, which said that if everyone in the venue is fully vaccinated, then masks will be optional.
That's excellent.
Within the convention. And I think it has worked out excellent. So
it's been great.
We're excited, as you said, is that you didn't think about it.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't have to think about it. There's one extra step this year coming to the World Series of Poker. That's it. One extra step to show that you're fully vaccinated. Of course, we're not unique in this, but with us, we've partnered with Clear Pass, and we'll give them a plug, and you can sign up for that. And it takes less than 2 minutes for you to enter your information, scan your picture and your vaccination card, and then you simply walk up to our cage with your Clear Health Pass that shows that you've already been authenticated green.
Yep.
And then you are logged in our system forever. You don't have to do that again for the rest of the fall. And it's cards as usual.
It literally took me no time. It was not even a thought.
Well, it's worth it. Ty, I got to go see Hamilton in the City at Broadway on Saturday night, and they were doing the same thing, but you had to wear a mask during the performance. You know what? Didn't hamper it. You just walked in, you showed your New York City your New York City Safe app or whatever it was, and then boom, you are in. And that's really good because you want people here concentrating on the experience of being here. So when you're thinking about creating the overall experience, besides just having great competition at the tables, how do you put together the overall experience to get those cash players to want to come and spend money with you and stay around the Rio and other Caesars Entertainment properties?
Yeah, for us, it's about building legend. You see here, everything is kind of larger than life. We have our gallery of champions. We have these large banners that we hang from the wall to celebrate the achievements.
Yep.
You know, we unveil them like you would a
Yeah.
championship.
It's great.
banner.
It's like when you're at Madison Square Garden, they have
Right.
all the championship
Yeah.
flags hanging down, right?
Yeah, we have multiple television sets, streaming. Everything that you do here is important. If you're playing at the table for very long, you're going to get covered by our media crews in terms of your chip counts. You become I'll say almost like an athlete, but everything here is just a sort of a heightened sense. In poker, these guys don't really care about money. I mean, they do, of course, but money comes and goes, and these guys have played enough that they could be. Money comes and goes.
How many times have I said that to you, Glenn?
You have.
I say that every single day. I said, this is not about money. I'm not a gambler. I'm a poker player.
Right.
Tell them the difference, Ty, because everybody looks at me and go, oh, you gamble. I don't gamble. I play poker.
Yeah, well,
It gets back to the sport thing, right?
that's a skill-based game, and as long as you play, I mean, there's going to be variance here, but as long as you play correctly, I think you look yourself in the mirror and feel fine about it. And if you play poker long enough,
Right.
you'll understand the swings and that these things happen, and you can take bad beats. But over time, you play, well and correctly, you're going to come out on the right side of it. But I guess my point is that money comes and goes, but in terms of standing the test of time, in terms of building a reputation, you have to do that at the World Series of Poker. You're going to keep score by how many cashes you had here, or how many bracelets you've won, or if you're lucky enough to be one of these world champions. And I think it just provides the whole industry a sense of legitimacy, a sense of pride, and they love it, and we're very blessed that they do. But we have tapped that as hard as we can, that if you play at the World Series of Poker, it's meaningful, and what you do is going to be remembered. So we have like 36 days of live streaming coverage this year. That is basically every day. We have over 50 hours of original television coverage.
Wow.
I said we have dozens of these chip counters going around posting on World Series of Poker and Poker News. And if you come and you can post the buy-in, you can become a poker star basically almost overnight.
Yeah, and what happens is a lot of people have home games, and the champion of the home game gets to go out to the World Series of Poker, and they put money aside and they send the champion of their home game to the World Series, right, Ty?
Oh, I love that when people do that, and then they all kind of have a piece of the player that is playing in the event, and that's a really cool way to get somebody here. It's special. I was driving in this morning, and I see a truck that has a license plate, a holder around it, says I'd rather be playing poker, and it's from Florida, license plate. So we got guys making a trek, drive from Florida, and it's special to us that we provide that sort of pilgrimage each year for folks to experience it, and it is an experience unlike anything else. I've been told it's a sort of cinematic. They believe that it's right out of Rounders or whatever the case may be.
Well, it's what it is. It's you're bringing something that's tangible. You're bringing something that you see on TV, that you see all these legends playing, that you can be sitting there. The first time somebody came over when I was at the World Series and I started doing really well, I was getting close, and they came over and they started, like you said, they took my picture, they started taking notes on me. And if you go on, if you go on the web and you put my name in poker, I come up. There's a couple pictures of me. There's they keep track of the points. How does that?
Does that come up ahead or below your TV series?
Go ahead, come on.
Tell them how the points work, like how people grind to get, to be played a year, things like that.
Yeah, well, every time that you would cash in the World Series of Poker, we would create some sort of record of that, and we have on our site at least, and there are many others that would trace the annals of the game that have record. And then we do have a Player of the Year system, and that Player of the Year, it has points tied to if you've cashed, and then how high you've cashed is more points, obviously, and then that creates the record of the player.
When is that announced? When's the Play of the Year announced?
Well, it'll be when we're done with all the competition, so it'll go all the way till deep in November.
Wow.
So is there who's in the leaderboard?
Oh, geez, you're gonna get me. I haven't looked at it yet. It's way too early.
Yeah,
I've only had a few ones.
Yeah,
But
to be fair, he probably only got to sleep about 20 minutes before the show started.
see that.
Yeah.
But it's always very competitive. It always goes down to the last event, in fact, is a little embarrassing, but Negreanu had thought that he had won it in 2019,
Right.
and did not because of basically a scoring error.
Oh,
That's
no.
how close it always is. Yeah.
So is that what happened? Because I knew they were saying he was going to win, and all of a sudden I looked it up and he didn't win.
Correct. That's what happened.
And did he come close, or was it a really
so close? It literally came down to a few positions in one event out of all of these 88 plus open events. So it'll always be that close. But it's a great bragging rights thing for particularly those pros. I mean, you're going to have to play a lot of events to truly be a factor for the player of the year. But even if you only played one, like you said, there will always be record of that accomplishment.
So you've been involved in this for a long time.
17 years. Yeah.
You and your team are responsible for what this thing is becoming. But talk to me about the player that you met when you first came into this 15 years ago, and the player today. What's the difference in the poker player? I'm not going to go all the way back to Doyle Brunson, but Doyle Brunson, Glenn.
I know.
So you don't know?
I know.
He has his
Doyle
own hand.
Brunson.
What's the Doyle Brunson hand, Glenn?
Oh, I don't know.
Well,
Some sort
can I
of
give you-
death hand of some sort, right? I know Doyle Brunson. I know a lot of the original guys that were at the roots of all this when they used to play
It's
downtown
10-2.
and
It's
stuff.
10-2.
Right.
When Amarillo Slim used to be on
Right.
late night talk shows.
Uh-huh.
Classic gambler. Let me tell you a quick story.
Awesome.
Okay? So all right, I'll tell you a quick story. So I came into this from the NFL. I guess now we're just 2005. I'm a very casual fan at that point, and I've watched a lot of TV. But I've watched to get ready for this job. I've been watching a lot of TV. But we have a Tournament of Champions event broadcast on ESPN, and it starts. We start taping in the middle of the afternoon. And poker fans will remember Daniel Negreanu and the late Mike Sexton played heads up for something ungodly like 8 to 10 hours. Whew. And I'm sitting here absolutely shocked because I thought, the shows are it's 2 hours when I see it on ESPN. I was just taking 8 hours. So I didn't even really know at the time. They're only taking the very best hands. There's a lot that goes to the editing floor. And they played back and forth, and the gap was $1 million. And Negreanu loses ultimately. And I just think he's going to be so mad losing $1 million. It's now 6 o'clock in the morning. The sun's out. And I walk into the parking lot. He just looks at me like, hey rookie, we're going to get pancakes. You want to come? This is the world that these guys, live in. And it was much different than I thought, but even, much better. I had a lot to learn about it myself. But your question about, has the poker player changed? I mean, I think in the early to mid 2000s, everyone's just having so much fun.
Right.
And, then there was a whole group that understood how much money could actually be won if they played the game correctly and really scientifically and really analytically.
Mm-hmm.
And we got a lot of scientists, in the game. And that's good too, because it's actually, game strategy. It's pushed things forward.
And it speaks to that sport aspect of it too.
Correct. But I think for us now, if we have a challenge, it's just always keeping it fun. Right?
But Ty, can I ask you a question as a person that's kind of in between right now, trying to understand really the formulas of everything and the percentages of everything and really learning it. I felt just in my game, one, I learned that I've got to play the way I play, the way I am, my personality. I've got to play my personality, number one. Number two, the more I understand the game and the more I understand percentages, I actually was doing not as good as I was before. And the reason being is I was more conservative and I was not playing hands that I felt like I was in a good position. It's good, but the book says don't play that hand.
But this is why you love poker, right? Because it's making you think all the time, making you adjust. It's almost like a golf swing that you're trying to get totally perfect. Should I change this or should I just swing naturally?
Right.
Like what's going to be my best results?
Right.
And I guess over time, I think even the very best players, Phil Hellmuth, if you had the opportunity to talk to him, he thinks about it and questions himself so much. And even, said, I coming into this year, I didn't have the skills before to really, be successful at these very games.
Absolutely.
Quite humble in some ways.
I mean, he's been around for decades.
Well, there's been a heads up thing, and Negreanu's playing Phil Hellmuth, and so they're studying, doing a lot of studying, and it's really fascinating to see it. And a heads up tournament, when you're playing heads up, is
That's
a
just
complete-
one-on-one, right?
It's a completely
Yeah.
different game. It's like it's almost like playing.
Psychological warfare.
It's almost like basketball and football. It's like two
Right.
different games. If you're at a table of 10 people and you're heads up, you play completely different.
Right, of course.
And it's just fascinating. But one of the things that I've actually decided this year was I'm playing my game.
Yeah.
And my game is different. And but it's mine. It's very unique. But everybody, if there's 15,000 people here, everybody has their own game and unique. It's when you're trying to play someone else's game or you're trying to overthink it.
Right.
You know, and sometimes, you know, when people say, you know, go with your gut, like the other day, I was like, you know what, I'm in a good position. I'm going to play Doyle Brunson. I'm going to play 10-2. I just felt it. I was playing very conservative. I didn't go in the hand in like an hour and a half.
Wow.
And
A
I was
long
just
time.
like, I hadn't seen 10-2 come out like all day. And I was just like, I'm playing it. And I had enough chips. I played it. I flopped the full house.
Wow. That's
And
awesome.
when you turned it over, what did your playmates say?
Well, you know, when you turn over 10-2 or 7-2, they get it. If you turn over 7-3, they don't get it.
Right.
But when you turn, because 7-2 and 10-2, sometimes a poker player just kind of goes with it. So we almost accept it. But if you turn over 7-3 and flop the full house, they'll slap you.
Yeah. All right. So
no, they won't. If you bust, they'll put some money in your pocket to rebuy and keep you in the game. Right?
You know what's interesting? This is another interesting thing.
Yeah.
You know, when you're playing poker, I mean, you're playing golf, and you see people, you know, hit the ball and they throw their club or they get upset or whatever they do. And in poker, one of the things I'm a player where if you bust me out on a bluff, I'm quiet. I say good game and I leave. And then I just go into that fog of poker, you know, poker hell. But I put it it's in my hell. I don't get upset. I don't I had a guy throw a chip at me. Because literally during COVID, I was playing with the glass thing, and I think I was at the Brigada, and I bluffed him. I mean, I bluffed him really good. And he said, "Show me." I said, "Well, I told you I'll show you anytime you ask me. Do you really want to see my hand?" And I threw my cards out, and I bluffed him. He literally took a poker chip and he threw it at me, and it hit the glass, and I started laughing.
Yeah.
And the guy next to me goes, "Dude, you're laughing?" I was like, "Well, there's two things to do. Laugh or get up. And if I get up,
Right.
I'm going to jail."
Yeah, right.
So I laughed. But what's interesting to me, it's poker. Don't you, Ty, don't you love when you talk to a poker player or you hear a poker player saying, "Oh, he bluffed me," and he gets mad? It's like, dude, that's the game. That's part of the game. How can you get mad at a poker player? Or if a poker player says, "Yeah, I have it. I have the nuts." And then you realize he doesn't. And he goes, "He lied to me."
Right.
It's like he's a poker player.
Exactly.
Is that the whole point?
Yeah. There is, you know, we talk about having honor amongst thieves, right? But this is the game. And
Right.
it's, I mean, listen, I'm going to tell you, I love the emotion. As I've been a sports guy my whole life. I don't want anybody throwing chips at anybody. We don't allow that here at the World Series of Poker. I'm
No, no
glad you
doubt.
said it was a Borgata because there would have been some penalties,
Right.
some other things here. But man, when you're playing for life-changing money, when you're playing for history, you're playing for the TV cameras, I kind of like, I mean, I like everyone being a gentleman too, but I like a little emotion.
Right.
You know, it gets people, I don't know. I think it gets people at home, at least when they're watching.
Oh, sure,
Really
sure,
exciting.
sure.
Watching it at home has got to be totally different than watching it live. For
Yeah,
example.
and by the way, there's probably a lot of people that don't know. You can come down to the World Series of Poker. Now, of course, this year you have to be vaccinated, even be a spectator. But we have ropes, very similar to golf tournaments.
Right.
And you can walk around the outside of these ropes and you can peer on some
That's
of these
pretty cool.
legends of the game and you can watch totally for free.
Wow.
Yeah, but what people don't understand, I didn't understand really until I just haphazardly walked in a couple years ago. You can just walk in, get online, give your vaccine card now, you know, give your money, give your Caesars card, and $150 buy-in, because there's $150 buy-in tournaments, there's $200 buy-in tournaments, there's $400 buy-in tournaments.
You can play online while you're here, which is legal in the state of Nevada.
Right.
And you can sign up and you can do a satellite qualifier for the main event for $1.
Wow.
So, yes.
That's pretty awesome. So speaking of online and stuff, how has the rise of online poker changed the poker player that comes live to the World Series of Poker?
Yeah, it's funny when we sometimes see people that are excellent online poker players,
Right.
and when they sit down, they almost don't know what to do.
Well, everyone could probably read them because they've never been with people
They're
before, right?
Wait, is it big blind, Andy? Do I just post my my blind now? You know, everywhere, but it's cool, and that's why I like. You know, so I think it's a pretty warm and nurturing environment at the World Series of Poker. I can't believe I'm saying that, but it's true. Like
Yeah,
poker players
it's
want
fun.
other poker players to be here. That good for the game. That's good for the prize pool. And so, yeah, but online poker players, I think, I mean, you just get to play so many hands.
Yeah.
That I think you really understand the fundamentals of the game. There's no doubt about that. And of course, we offer online poker, but it's a completely unique experience to be here. And as Anthony was saying before, about reading the player
Right. Yeah.
and what your social tactics might be and what tells you're able to get. I mean, there's just a whole nother element of life.
And you know, the social aspect of it, you'll sit at the table, and there's some tables that are quiet, and people are just really focused, and there's some tables that are a little bit more exuberant, and it's fun. I'm, as Glenn knows, I'm not a big cocktail guy going out for drinks and stuff, but at a poker table, like if it's the right vibe, I get really, really happy and comfortable, and that's really part of it. Listen, there's a lot of the people sitting at the tables. There's a lot going on, right? We had the pandemic. There's all kinds of issues in the world. When you're sitting at a poker table, I also used to amateur race cars, and when you're behind the wheel, if you take your eye off the road, you're gonna hit the wall.
Right.
You can't even think about, like, what am I gonna have for lunch today? Like, that thought will make you crash. When you're in a poker tournament, it's the only place in the world that I turn off my brain. I don't think of anything else but poker. And when you get a whole bunch of people with that mindset, it is such a pleasure. No one's talking politics. No one gets into social problems.
Yeah.
Everybody, you're just a poker player, and there's a bond to that.
There's a definite bond to that. I mean, it's a great insight. And I think you're right on the money, is that particularly here, people are coming for an experience. People are coming to have fun, for a camaraderie.
Yeah, right.
And so when you come to the World Series of Poker, I mean, it's hard to be sort of in a bad mood. It depends a little bit on the buy-in level that you're choosing, obviously, and you should do it to the level that you feel comfortable, because we have everything from $400 events to $250,000 events.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of experiences that you can go out and purchase. You come to Las Vegas, and a tournament of the World Series of Poker, we think is a pretty cool value.
Well, Ty, I've told everybody I'm not playing in the $10,000 buy-in World Series of Poker event until I can win it. So I'm about 2 or 3 years until I can win it. So that year, just give me the trophy. I don't want to play.
Yeah. Listen, we haven't talked about our bracelet. We have the most expensive trophy in the world. Our World Series of Poker main event bracelet is traditionally valued at over $250,000.
I was wondering how much that was worth.
The most expensive trophy in all of sports.
Wow.
And
and you get to keep that, unlike like the Stanley Cup, where you just get to hold it.
You get to. In fact, the way that the bracelet is, and I'm sorry I don't have it on set here, it's getting finished, but it has like a lock device that you could open the face of the bracelet, and the whole cards that you won the event with will actually fit inside, so you can always keep them close to yourself.
I am winning that event just with that bracelet. But you said something that's very interesting, Ty. It's not about the money. Now, everybody likes money, and of course, if you're a guy that plays for a living, you want to win the money because it keeps your bankroll, your bankroll going. You can afford to keep going and playing. But if you're a guy like me that's casual and you're just playing because you just love it, like nothing else you've ever loved. Baseball was my number one love in my life. Poker's, I think, surpassed that. And it's just that strategy. But I'm telling you, if you gave me $250,000 or the bracelet, I'm picking up the bracelet.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm not. You can keep the money, not that I can't use it. We can all use money, but that bracelet, and plus, you walk into a poker room anywhere in the world, and you just kind of show that bracelet like that. It could be even a smaller tournament. And you show when you're sitting at a table anywhere in the world. I've played in almost every poker room in the country because I've traveled to 48 states and 50 countries. I actually won a tournament. I've never been to this part of Spain. Where was I? I
don't know, Barcelona.
Barcelona. No, I wasn't in Barcelona.
Madrid.
I was in Madrid, and I was there for Porcelanosa. We were doing a tour.
So you were in Valencia?
No, I was in Madrid.
All right.
So anyway, I walk in, I play in the tournament. I win the tournament. Wow. I leave. I told somebody there I played in the World Series of Poker. You would have thought that I was God. Yeah. They were like, "You played in the World Series of Poker?"
Wait,
I think I played in a small tournament. I'm Jesus. And I played in the World Series of Poker event. Anywhere you sit in the world at a poker room, if you say you play in the World Series of Poker, there's probably 2 or 3 people that have understand that because they've been there, and then everybody else at the room, that's their goal. Their goal, any poker player I've ever met in my life, their only goal in the world is to win that bracelet.
Yeah, thank you for that. I mean, that's really what we focused on is what's our point of difference, this honor. And so we have these bracelets, and the bracelets are for all of the open events, not just the finale. Now, so I don't confuse anybody.
Right.
That $250,000 bracelet, that's for the main event, for
Right,
the
of
World
course.
Championship only. But you always get this beautiful gold bracelet that is the ultimate flex, as you're saying. Now you don't even have to tell people you play in the World Series of Poker. You show
Yeah,
up
you
at
just have
the
to
table,
stretch.
you put your cards in, you go and you fold the hand, and they see a World Series of Poker bracelet on your wrist, which you really truly can wear somewhere in the world. And obviously, it's legend.
And people at the table, if you say you played in the World Series, especially if you like, basically I came in second, but should have won. I got rivered. But anyway,
Anthony, Mike McManus is saying you're gonna have to get past Chris Green first.
oh yeah, well, when you play drunk poker online, that doesn't count. And but when anytime you say you played or you won an event or you came in second in an event, there's nothing like it. And again, I'm so glad we're having this conversation, and because as you can tell, I am.
You're passionate.
I'm in.
Right. As you can tell, that's just why I haven't gotten to speak on this particular show. But I knew that going in. So Ty, I'm curious as to, you're the steward of this incredible event. You've been with it for 17 years, but it's got such a long, rich history. How do you feel about being the caretaker of this and pushing it forward into the future to continue to be relevant?
Yeah, what's the next level?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've had the opportunity to visit with Jack Binion, multiple times. And I mean, I really look and feel such a great debt to the Binion family because they were the ones that created this and gave the brand a lot of its DNA. And he said, it's sort of my responsibility and our team's responsibility to keep driving that forward. We're very proud of what we've done. And so we've set records basically every year with the attendance. We've grown the brand around the world. We have our World Series of Poker circuit happen on 5 continents. We have World Series of Poker social game. That's the #1 mobile free-to-play game. We're the #1 real money gaming online brand in Nevada, New Jersey, just launched in Pennsylvania. Like, we're proud of what we have done. But it is a public trust. This is a players event. This is that's why if we just wanted to run a business, we'd run 88 no limit hold'em events. But we run these Omaha high low 8 or better studs. That we're very true to the ideals of the event, which is that every single variant of poker is going to be contested here, and that it is something that's a showcase for the professionals. And if we've done one thing, how do we evolve it? Is that we have tried to make it that place to grow interest in the game, that there's really something for everybody. It's not so much anymore about if you're a professional, play the World Series of Poker. It's just if you like poker, play at the World Series of Poker. And so we've embraced that, something for everybody. The dreams are dealt, and that you as a recreational player need to come here and play in the World Series. And that's why, as I mentioned, that 13,000 player reunion event, we've taken the buy-in levels down. We've made it more accessible to everybody to be here. And I think that the poker players and the community really appreciate that, because we are what drives, new interest in the game, in a game that needs it. I mean, there have been some poker rooms around the country that have closed due to the pandemic, due to lower interest. And, if you would come here, you see that poker's alive and well.
You did something that is fascinating to me. When I was younger, I was never a real poker player, but poker, if you were a poker player, people looked at you like, play poker? You're drag of the earth. Like you're that guy.
Oh, kind of like tattoos.
Right,
Now they're really
right.
now
Now if you're a poker player and you're a real poker player, like there's respect because you put it on the national stage. Kind of like, again, I don't know if this is a good comparison. I don't know if you like this comparison, but you take UFC and they took MMA and they made it where it's palpable for people. They understand it. There's rules. Like I always say, I used to be a boxing fan. I was like, I don't like seeing people punched in the head over and over again. UFC stops the fight. I love it. I've never seen a UFC person die in a ring. So I love what they did. They cleaned it up. They really marketed it brilliantly. Big UFC fan. I love what the World Series of Poker did, because you've done the same thing. You've brought it together. You've made it where, a guy that used to like golf, that drives maybe a nice Bentley, now he says, I'm going to go play poker. You wouldn't see that before. You would think that somebody is like I said, just
we've had corporate sponsorships where Hershey Foods, we had a big sweepstakes and Frito-Lay Ruffles potato chips and Jaguars. It's we've put poker, mainstream and in grocery stores and supermarkets, and we've been very proud of that. But I think the players deserve a lot of credit with this as well. I think that as we all saw that it's become mainstream and legitimate, that everybody wants to or most people want to get on board and help that.
And what's amazing, a real quick story. I came here to do podcasting and a couple meetings, but also a friend of mine's son is coming here to get a job. So I've helped him hooked up with a job. Last night we played in a tournament at a different casino because that's where we were. And we just had a little bit of time. And, I play poker a lot. I got busted out way before, cash.
Right.
My friend who plays poker a little bit, he came in 11th. And his son, who's never played in a tournament in Vegas, came in 4th and won $1,000.
Playing on those instincts, just like you said, right?
So that's what I love about it. And at one, my ego got in the way. And like, here I am, this poker player. I didn't even get close to the cash. But that's what's great about this game. And that's what's great about what you guys do. And this event is amazing. It's been a dream of mine. I'm going to play in one of the big buy-in tournaments when I feel like I can really compete. I'm not at that level yet. And that's another interesting thing about this game. I'm a good poker player, but when you get in this room, I'm the worst poker player in the room.
That's not true.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some worse.
Because I'm in this room and a few other folks. No, but listen, there's all experience levels are out here, so we have events for everybody. And we haven't talked about our seniors event. Are you 50 yet?
I'm 56.
Okay, so you can play.
I could play in a seniors event.
You can play in the seniors event, and the seniors event in and of itself is unbelievable. I think last time had 5,900. It's got to be one of the biggest open, participatory events for seniors in the world.
What's the buy-in?
It's 1,000.
So does it start at like 6 a.m. and you serve dinner at noon or something?
No, 10 a.m. traditionally.
Yeah.
But it's and you want to talk about a great time and a community that really appreciates having this. And this year we're having 2 starting days, and we may have 7,000 entrants. We'll see. But that is a fantastic.
I'm going to be in that one next year.
Let's
I'm
go.
going to do that. Tell me and be honest, because when you had that, what was it called? The $500 buy-in 50. Yep. What was it called?
Big 50.
The Big 50. Be honest, because I was here the day you opened. I just happened to be in town doing a keynote. I just came over here and all of a sudden I saw this long line. I was like, what the heck's this? I get in the line and I realize I'm part of this insane event that's the biggest event that's ever happened. Yeah. When you thought of that event, or your team thought of that event, how much bigger was it than you thought?
Ooh. So that's my baby. I mean, I love creating these sort of gimmicks and these.
It was the biggest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I think it was 28,000.
But the energy, forget about the how many people or whatever. I've never ever been in a tournament that had that kind of. It was insane.
Yeah, well, we had it a little bit this past weekend, and I'll go up and I'll talk to the guys at the lines, because lines are a blessing and a curse in the whole industry, right? It's like you want to create the demand, but you want to create a great service experience, and so you don't want anyone to have to wait. But we had a few folks that did wait, let's go an hour to be able to register, and I kept talking to them, and they were happy, and they were like, "It's fine because I know that I have this chance to win this unthinkable money, close to $1 million, $650,000." For my $500, and this is just so cool to be a part of something sort of historic.
And then they said, "Hey, don't worry, I waited longer for my Starbucks."
Right, and honestly, I mean, $500 is not that much to get involved in a tournament that you could win all that big money. I mean, going to a concert, I mean, those freaking Hamilton tickets cost me more than that.
We can talk Hamilton because I've seen it with myself, and that's one of the great experiences that you'll ever have. But we have a lot of these specialty events. We call them our sort of tentpole events. We have the Millionaire Maker this weekend. $1,500 buy-in event, but we're first place. We'll get $1 million. And that is just, you can't, any casino in the world you play in, there's nothing that will come close to that kind of ROI.
So I think we'd be remiss if I didn't ask you a couple of operational questions, because this is a hospitality podcast. It's about hospitality. One of the things that everyone's challenged with, and we're actually working on a show about this, but is labor.
Yeah.
How difficult was it to pull this off with the labor pool that's happening in this country?
Well, I think we haven't pulled it off yet. I mean, talk to me on November 23rd, because attrition in the staff is something that we keep an eye on.
Right.
We know how many we need to start, but then we know how many folks will not stay with us till the end, and we believe that we're in good stead. But being a poker dealer, I think a lot of people love it. I don't want to say that it's a gypsy lifestyle, but you would travel around to a lot of these bigger tournaments, and you work primarily on a cash basis.
That's cool.
And it's a cool existence.
Yeah.
But we need almost all of them. When you talk about the scale we talk about 28.
There's 150 tables just in this room.
We traditionally have over 1,000 dealers. We'll have 1,500 floor staff or 1,500 total temporary employees that we'll need. And so, that labor force is very difficult. And then when you also have an expectation here that we'll have the best and most highly trained, where do you find those folks? And so we call on a lot of school teachers even to get trained.
Really?
They're out of work in the summer, temporarily.
That's pretty cool. Better we're working at summer camp.
We've worked with a lot of dealer training schools. That business has been challenged a little bit. There haven't been as many of them. I would just call that, you're right to identify that as being one of the biggest challenges.
And I will tell you, it was very interesting because I was here playing in one of your events, and there was a dealer that was lovely, absolutely lovely, great personality, but you can tell they were dealing poker for 20 years. And because most of the people that come to this room and come to this event play poker.
Yeah.
They're not casual. They're pretty, they like playing poker. And they helped the dealer in an incredible way.
Isn't that cool?
It is an incredible way. Like really, that he made a couple of little errors, and the guy next to me literally he was his like co-pilot. He's like, no, you made a mistake on the mat there, and he wasn't like, the player wasn't upset. None of us were upset. We're like, hey man, don't worry, man. It's cool. We just happy to be here. And but his demeanor, the dealer's demeanor meant everything, because the dealer came in and he was rude and he was bad. Then poker players have zero.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's zero time for that. But if you're nice, and he said, as soon as he sat at the table, he said, hey, listen guys, I'm working hard on my game. I'm trying, but I'm relatively new. And as soon as he said that, everybody at the table said, we got you. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, this is how you split a pot. Now, listen, it shouldn't happen like that ever. And we go through.
It happens in every room.
Yeah,
it happens in every room around the world.
But, Anthony, you have really good insights because I know you get it. But they call the people that play poker and like poker either the poker world, which I don't like, and the poker community, which I do like. And I think that the poker community, as you're saying, they get that. Like, listen, we need dealers. We want to be supportive and inclusive, and it is that it said it doesn't matter where you came from. If you like poker and you want to join us, there's that vibe at all times. And I think that, yes, I have seen that countless times where they'll help a newbie dealer work through those jitters.
Well, after we get off, I'm gonna tell you the best deal I've ever played with, and where she is, and you got to go get her.
All right, we're gonna have to start heading towards wrapping up because we're getting close to you having to catch a plane, for example, Anthony. But I'm curious, what does all of this mean to Caesars Entertainment?
Good question.
Well, it really is a key flagship brand for us. From a business perspective, I think it's a customer acquisition tool, as you might imagine. We have some 60,000 uniques that traditionally come to the World Series of Poker, but I mentioned and it makes a big lift to the city because all those folks come and this ultimate poker convention, they do other things while they're here. And so it's very meaningful to the whole city of Las Vegas, not just Caesars Entertainment on an annual basis. It's also for our internet gaming, for our iGaming, interactive gaming. It's a great tool because not only do we have a standalone business in online poker, but it's a cross sell for sports and casino. But I think
that's your whole milieu, Ty.
Yes.
You're dealing with all the interactive stuff, so you're pulling together all of those different elements to create a cohesive customer experience.
But it's a lot beyond that. There's just so much pride that this is something that's ours, sort of like Caesars Rewards. It's a flagship brand of the company, and we're disproportionately involved in poker, and so I was just telling you before, we're going through, I won't yet announce which casino, but we're going to have a big new signature World Series of Poker room. And this company is committed to poker in large part because of this event.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. You're a marketing guy. I'm a marketing guy. World Series of Poker by Caesars. Why have you never put that on the World Series of Poker label?
That's probably a really good point. It's just
no, I'm wondering
mostly-
because I
mostly
imagine that was a
intellectual
business
property.
decision. That was probably a business decision.
Well, you see the logo in and of itself.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. It's beautiful.
Did you come up with it?
No, I didn't do this logo. We didn't inherited it. And,
it's insane.
It's hard. It's hard to register World Series of IPs because you got World Series of baseball, you got even World Series of cornhole, you have all sorts of things. And so the logo itself helps us protect it, but we won't get into the minutia of that.
But I was just curious because when you were talking, I never thought of it until you just said it. I'm just curious.
The other thing is that we just have so many third-party casinos that we partner with around the world as well.
Understood.
And also when we publish the brand, whether that be, in a social game or real money game. I mean, the fans and the players, they know World Series of Poker, but hopefully they also know Caesars, and everyone that participates gets Caesars rewards, and they're plugged into our system, and they traditionally stay at our properties. We give them, lots of good deals and bonus codes. And so it's always present, but just not in the name of the event.
Well, I got to tell you something. Just as a person that appreciates marketing, rarely I've ever seen a brand come up so quick and just make something so easy to deal with. And so you want, when you're playing poker for 14 hours, my longest session was actually 16 hours.
Wow.
And I get up and I feel good, like usually. Sometimes I fall apart, but I could sit at a table forever and play poker forever. And people that know my personality is like, you can't sit still. How's that possible? You've been able to make a brand that everybody looks forward to every year, that everybody loves being a part of, that it's fun, it's exciting, it's enthusiastic. When you see the souvenirs booth and you see people getting all the swag and and the swag, I just saw you gave me something too. And the other day I was looking for a black sweatshirt, so I'm going to go get one. And the everybody is buying swag.
Yeah.
I mean, it's your brand is so insane. So thank you so much for allowing us to be here.
I've got one more question.
It's go ahead.
All right. This comes, our final question today comes from Dr. Producer Suzanne. She says, you've been involved in creating something so unique. What type of legacy do you want to leave on this aspect of the industry, Ty?
It's another good question. I never thought about it. I really, I just want the brand, as you said, to be respected and revered and to leave it a little bit better than when I came. I don't care if anybody ever knows who I am. It's just about the World Series of Poker. And so I'm proud of the business case, that we've built. I will tell one story. I should don't plan for that one. I think coming in and say what was my favorite moment of all time. Too, but the main event final tables are huge for us now, and we had the first ever sort of big spectator audience. I think it's 2009. Joe Cotta won, and we did it in the Penn and Teller Theater, and we sold it out, and we basically have 2,000 people watching live poker. And I look, and there's like 4 guys in maize and blue body paint, CADA with Joe's name, and they're rocking out.
I remember that.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is like people are getting it. And the other time, Greg Merson, I think it's 2012. He had been through sort of a rocky road, and he wins, and he just has a breakdown, and cries on the stage. And I cried harder because I knew what it meant to him, and I knew that we provided a platform for him to feel that sort of,
I can see you getting emotional about that.
No, I do. I get it. And so for me, I just love being a part of it. I just love building this stage and this platform for the players in the industry. And as long as poker stays alive and well, I'm happy.
And that's interesting because you said, I'm sorry, Glenn, you said something when he won, Cotta won, and the fans went crazy, and then you allow the fans to scream and yell.
Yeah.
And at first I was just like, like that's a little weird. Like we're playing poker and I have fans screaming.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh my God, it makes it so great. It makes it so great. And then I was like, well, when I get to the World Series of Poker, who am I inviting?
Yeah. Right. And isn't that the coolest thing when you could potentially have all your friends and family come and support you and rail you, and you can win a pot and you can go over and give a high five.
Yeah.
I always, I Jones to see who won. Like I get up in the morning if I fall asleep, and I get up and who won. It was amazing. How was it last year? I know we're coming to the end. But
No, well,
how
we're,
was it?
we're coming to you. You're gonna have to change your flight soon. Is what's gonna happen.
Well, there is no
Just
flights. So there are no more
Stay and
flights.
play.
Everything's sold out, so I have to go.
Yeah.
But my question is, last year having it where you couldn't have it, normally, how
Yeah.
was that?
It was good. I mean, listen, it wasn't the same because it was primarily online poker, and then we played the 2 live tables, and then we played heads up for the championship, where we had one kind of bracket of the rest of the world, and we had one bracket here in the U.S. But it was a win to be able to do it.
Right.
So I feel this tremendous amount of responsibility for the legacy of the World Series of Poker, and every single year for 51 years at the time, we had awarded a world championship. And if there was a way to be able to do it, I wanted to be able to do it. So was it exactly the same as it'll be this year? No, it was not.
But you did it.
But we did it. And there's a banner hanging there for Damian Salas, and a guy who had made the final table before and came back and got his moment of redemption. And there was TV of great stories. And again, that's what we're here to do. And so, yeah, we were happy about it, but we're really looking forward to this year. And if the gates open up for our international travelers here in early November and we can get them to the main event, we can have a huge deal.
When is where is in this room, like where is the main event table? Is it?
Oh, you're not in, so we'll have to walk next door. So
okay, I want to see that.
This is actually one of the smaller rooms that we have, and that would be in the Amazon room, and we have 3 TV sets there. Wow.
Yeah, and this room very shortly is going to be packed.
Yes, it will. Ty, before we wrap up, it's time for your shameless plug. How can people watch those 50+ hours that you were talking about, and anything else that you want to share, maybe about coming down for the events that are coming up still?
They can watch on Poker Go, which is our partner, and it's a subscription service, but we have 36 hours or 36 days of live streams. You can watch on Poker Go, or you can watch on CBS Sports this year. We have not put the release out for the specific dates and times of the CBS Sports schedule.
It's coming,
but it'll start in November, and we'll have over 50 hours of original programming.
And just FYI, I don't watch Poker Go constantly. That's a lie. That's an absolute lie. It's not true. That I don't spend 2 hours every night watching Poker Go. Not true.
All right. Excellent. Ty, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you, man.
Thank you guys very much. And listen, I know it's no vacancy, but there's always a vacancy at the World Series of Poker. Come here, we got a spot for you.
I love it. All right, Anthony, why don't we just
wrap it up
and end this thing? All right, everybody, thanks for being here. Tomorrow we got a great interview with the CEO of Wyndham Hotels and Resorts. That's Jeff Bellotti, plus Chip Olson, their Chief Development Officer, as well as Greg Friedman, who they just did $1 billion fund over at Peachtree. You're going to want to hear those mini interviews that I did last week at the Lodging Conference. Thanks for being here. Remember, guys, make the best of it because you've only got one life. So blaze on and
be kind to yourself.
See y'all tomorrow. Not live.